Let's talk about it. Talk about it. I'm joined today by Dwayne Edwards, who at 19 was the youngest and one of the very few African-American footwear designers in the industry at the time. He served as head designer for LA Gear and Karl Kani, and then at age 30, became one of the youngest design directors in Nike's history. In 2010, Dwayne opened Pensole Academy to provide the industry with a direct link to aspiring designers. Thanks for joining me, Dwayne.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate the conversation. Looking forward to it as well.
I'm also excited to have Nicole Knight, aka Caddy Customs. With a passion for increasing the presence and influence of female designers and a growing reputation for making some of the most innovative designs in sneakers, she's playing a pivotal role in further fueling the democratization of custom sneaker design.
Yes, I am definitely excited to be here too.
So, Nicole, I'm going to kick things off with you. Tell us about your initial inspiration for becoming a designer and what got you into sneaker design specifically.
Well, you know, I've always been into art. I've been drawing and painting since I was 5. As soon as I started high school, I think something just clicked. When I started customizing, I was working for my mentor. His name is Mike Norris. He taught me the game. He taught me perfection about customizing sneakers, using the right paints, how to clean the brushes. He always inspired me.
That's amazing. Love that. Dwayne, you entered the game super young as well.
So I started customizing my sneakers out of necessity in '86 just to match my basketball uniform. And then that turned into, I'm gonna do my boys on the rest of the team. That turned into doing it for the girls team. And it just became an addiction to whereas I had to absolutely have to have something different.
Nicole, you're one of the pioneers, disrupting the game with your role amid the color up movement. Can you tell us what color up design is really all about?
I love just playing with colors, and I just love putting colors together. And I love color blocking too. My main focus and goal is to actually create something that you won't see in stores.
So Dwayne, how does color up design influence or impact big sneaker brands?
Yeah, man, when you're at a bigger brand, we're designing and coloring shoes based on geography. So for instance, on the West Coast, white sneakers last longer because of the weather, right? But back east, you have a smaller window. So darker sneakers is what you see. And that's what really started this idea of you calling your boy in New York to get a color that you can't get out west.
Okay, so Nicole, I think customization culture is built on the idea of pushing back against the rules. Can you talk a bit about why the whole idea of one-of-one sneakers are so appealing to so many people?
In the custom sneaker culture, being different right now is everything. So when you are able to get a custom shoe like that, which is totally different from your friends at school or at work or whatever you at, people gravitate towards that.
So Dwayne, earlier you mentioned you were one of 2 Black designers, which is obviously a little different than the way it is today. Can you just talk about that? A little bit of what was it like back then being really just one of 2 Black designers in a room?
Well, for the longest time, man, I thought I was the only one. My whole career, man, I've always been one of the only ones in the room. And it was a positive and a negative. The positive was because I was so young, I was really the target consumer. And I was designing ultimately for myself in a lot of these instances. So it had pluses, but it had the minuses where, you missed out on the fellowship part. You missed out on the collaboration part. You missed out on the belonging part.
And speaking of those that didn't have visibility back then, women and women of color in particular didn't have a particularly huge voice. How do you see those ripple effects hitting the industry these days where women are becoming a bigger part of the conversation?
I think the beauty of what's happening now is you start to see this sisterhood that's created with some of the OGs, Kim Glover, Kim Shane now. I think what was really instrumental in what she did was she put people on from her neighborhood and connected this thread and connected this dot of mentorship. Now they're legends in the game and running companies and running departments. Ultimately, we only become what we see. And when the companies don't show who we are behind the scenes, that reduces the chances of someone like Nicole seeing someone who looks like her doing this thing. Because if they don't see us, then they won't know what's possible.
Wow.
Okay, so we're going to explore the actual creative process of Nicole's color up design technique as she sets out to create a signature color up kick just for this show.
Where do you see your inspiration coming from?
I love using bright colors. What gave me the idea was to use the colors and make them bold and soft at the same time. This basically reminds me of like playing with chalk, where the shoe has like the dark outline of the base color, but in the middle it's shaded in lighter. That was my biggest inspiration, just to really throw back.
So tell me about your process.
I first mock it up on the computer. I do several mock-ups to see which one is better. I never want to mock up anything that I couldn't do. And then I just execute it from there. It's important to use acetone or deglazer on the shoe before customizing because you don't want to paint on a shoe. That's how the paint starts cracking and peeling. The most tricky part about the shoe is the Air Jordan logo on the side. You know, you have to make sure that you don't overpaint it, because if you overpaint it, then you're not gonna be able to see the Air Jordan or the wings, or the basketball. And so that's really one of the most difficult parts.
So Nicole, I love how you've created this color blocking that instantly pops from a distance when you see it. You've done a great job of giving them something to look at every turn.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that a lot.
So much of what both of you has done has massively contributed to sneaker culture. What do you see as next up in sneaker design, Dwayne?
I think as manufacturing techniques evolve, you're gonna start to see this blurring, this visual blur of you don't know where the top and the bottom begins and ends.
Nicole, what about you? What do you see as the future of sneaker design as a customizer?
I would love to see, the bigger brands, giving the actual customizers who created an opportunity to actually design for the company. And also seeing more African Americans in the sneaker world. That's where I want to see it in 5 years, honestly.
I love that. Well, this has been amazing for me. I want to say thank you to both of you guys, as well as Microsoft, for hosting this powerful conversation. Stay tuned for the next episode of Surface Originals, where I'll be joined by one of the most influential designers leading the charge in the Stitch Up or Soul Swap design movement and redefining what's possible in sneakers, the dynamic Connor Seltz, aka C's, along with Microsoft's very own Chief Product Officer, Panos Panay, who will share his passion for original sneaker design. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you soon. Peace. Yo, first of all, thanks for watching this episode of Surface Originals, but I know what you're thinking. I really want to see the shoes created in this episode. Well, all you have to do is tap in over on my channel and we'll have a full unboxing of the sneakers created during this show. I'm Jacques Slade, and I'll see you soon. Peace.